right. Hello and welcome to this special Meet the Miniaturist. Thank you for joining folks today on YouTube and Facebook. I'm excited to be here today and bring on my special guest. But before we do that, I do want to share some things that are happening in and around my mini world, just so that you're up on what's going on. There are several, actually, if people don't know who I am, I'm an unapologetic miniaturist. I love all things mini. I love to promote miniatures every chance I can get. My ultimate goal in all of this is to have people love miniatures the way I do and see miniatures the way I do and get the most out of them. So welcome to this Meet the Miniaturist Live. Definitely say hello in the chat box so I know that you can hear me. So here's what's going on in my world before we bring on my special guest. Just so you know, I host a Meet the Miniaturist series on various platforms, but you can find them on YouTube. My most recent was my guest was Charlotte Engstrom from Sweden. She's got the most amazing Beacon Hill dollhouse. We learned more about her and her journey. She's only been making miniatures for about 5 years and collecting for about 5 years. Go and listen to that. I also write stories about miniatures. So I have a Meet the Miniaturist interview blog post. And so I found Eric Haig online. He's got a very, very unique dollhouse. Put this under the umbrella of interesting and unique ways to engage in this hobby because he has a dollhouse funeral home. So go check that out. That's on my blog post. I popped in all of the links, important links for today in the comments. So go look for that. I also got a chance to interview Andrew Sosenko, who combines furniture and miniatures together. And he's incredibly creative and his designs are incredible. So kind of, again, under the guise of, how to bring and incorporate miniatures into our world, he designs furniture that have dollhouse miniature architectural elements. Go check that out. Link is in the comment section. Finally, while I love to promote miniatures, I do sell miniatures, and I have an estate auction happening and starting tomorrow on Sunday, which is the 15th. So go check that out. This miniature collection is from a Midwest collector, very discerning eye. Most of the miniatures have sort of a French flair. An awesome, sort of country French charm. So think wine cellar, cheese shop, just lovely, yummy miniatures. So go check that out. And I also am hosting a couple of free webinars over the next several weeks. So check that out. One is how to build an awesome miniatures collection. And finally, the next one is how to sell a collection. So if you've got a collection that you're looking to sell, then please do reach out. My information is in the bio. You can find me. And I'm happy to work with you to find happy homes for your miniature treasure. So check that out. Check all of that out. And with that, I would like to bring up my very special guest, Troy Bettridge. Hi, Troy. How are you? Welcome back.
Great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. I know you were on a few years ago, and I know a lot has been happening since then. So I would happy to bring you back to bring us all up to date on what's been happening. I know I call you an Uber miniaturist because you've got all of these connecting dots happening. First of all, you're an architect by trade. Yep. Then you're a collector. I call you a historian because you have all of this knowledge about miniatures, specifically vintage type miniatures, which we're going to get into. You're also a hobbyist yourself. You make miniatures. So it kind of blows the mind how much, you are actively engaged in this community. So thank you for that, actually, because you're spreading the word and you're spreading your knowledge. And I think that's really important in all of this. So with that, I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and then ultimately how you got into this category of miniatures. And then we're going to dive deep. We're going to see your creative space, and we're going to do so much. So this is going to be awesome. So thank you for
Sounds
joining.
Good. Yeah. I appreciate all you do to promote miniatures too. You're a great resource. So I was born and raised in rural Nevada, kind of a enigma, I guess. But my first influences were probably my Fisher-Price Little People house that I had. I used to play with Legos and Lincoln Logs and build houses. In the 70s, when Star Wars came out, I collected the Star Wars figures, and I realized that the Tommy miniatures that were around at that same time were the same scale as the Star Wars figures. So then I got into building houses and spaceships and stuff for my Star Wars people and using the Tommy furniture. So that was kind of how I got started. As far as real miniatures, I also had my great grandmother's. She had a box of miniatures that when I would go visit her, I would love to get this shoebox out of the closet and play with those miniatures. And then later, when she passed away and we were at her home, and people, said, "Is there anything that you would like to remember your great grandma?" And I said, I would really love that box of furniture. And so I have that. And so I later learned that was by Cage. And I didn't have a total appreciation for the history of it yet. But as I got older, I started collecting more Cage. And now I have a house that's just my Cage collection. But since then, I've started collecting different brands from different eras, and it's just kind of grown from there. I like to build spaces to display the collections that are period appropriate. So
yeah. Wow. So that's early on. So your earliest memory was, can you just talk a little bit about that? Go back to that time that you were presented for the first time with that miniature, and maybe a little bit about what you felt.
Yeah, I mean, I was always creative as a child. I loved to draw and build. And so when I'd go to my great grandmother's house and she would, ask me what I wanted to do or whatever, I wanted to play with this box of furniture. And I just remember it felt fun. I felt happy. Yeah. I felt creative. You can arrange it however you want and do things with it. And I guess all miniatures are that way. Even today, you can kind of make it whatever you want to be, past or present. Or
And what was it again? What was in the box? What type of miniatures? Vintage?
It was, they were Cage brand. I pulled a few here, but they're kind of boxy, and they were from the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah,
but they have stained wood and some fabric areas, some wire legs sort of things.
And do you have any of those
from the original ones
from that time?
I do. Yeah,
you do. So that box of miniatures, you still have some of those pieces?
I do. Yeah, I have all those pieces, and then I've added to it when I realized that there was a lot more out there from the Cage company.
So I mean, that's a huge, big activation trigger, right?
It was.
So that got you started on your way of collecting, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I think another thing that really kind of helped me along was my mom had a friend in the 80s, 90s, and she got the X-Acto House of Miniature kits that they mailed out each month, and she was inundated with them, couldn't keep up with it. And so she gave me a couple of those kits. Right. So I started building those too when I was in high school, just for fun to.
Yeah. So you were doing those X-Acto kits back in high school.
I was, yeah.
Those were like the Columbia Broadcasting Record Club. Like you get so many of them. So I get it that she had extras, because you never got all those boxes done ever. So was that sort of how did that interact with your interest in architecture? Did it?
It did. So I guess just I built those models, and then I wanted to build a house to display those models, a place for those to go. While I was in high school, I went through that. We had a drafting program, started out with hand drafting and then learned CAD. And then when I went to college to be an architect, there's model building classes, and I was really good at those. And so it kind of just went hand in hand.
Did you have to build an architectural model house? Because I always remember the architecture. We had architecture class, and they got to build a stick house, like a scale. Did you have to do that?
We did, yeah. Wow. We actually, at our high school, we had a construction program, and we built a house for like a poor community. So we built a pretty small house on campus and then moved it for someone to live in. But we studied the drawings for that house, and it was a pretty great program.
Yeah. So the picture's coming clearer. So building the house of miniature kits, going to school, getting your architecture degree, where they're also, did you continue that? Because a lot of people leave the category, they go on to life. Did you leave for an amount of time, or did you continue it? Your passion, if you will.
I would say I left for an amount of time. While I was in college, I focused more on getting my degree and getting married. I still kind of I still had my house and furniture, but it was kind of on the back shelf for a while. But then as my kids started to get a little bit older, I dug it out again and started just getting energized by it and spending a little bit of spare time working on that. And
And when did you when did the full-on collecting happen? Because you're a full-on collector. You are deeply involved with really putting together full-on collections of different categories of vintage style miniatures. I don't think there's anyone out there who has as an extensive collection of each type of brands that you do and knows as much as you do. So when did that all happen?
So I think after I graduated from college and moved here to Tulsa, I'm fortunate to be in the Tulsa area. Tulsa was really wealthy during the 20s through 70s with the oil companies and oil money that was here. And so there's a lot of estate sales and antique shops and garage sales. And so I started going during my lunch hour, going to estate sales and just finding pieces. And I happened into an antique shop where I found some really great pieces. In fact, this one right here, this one is a tiny toy piece. And I thought, well, that's really cool. There were some other tiny toy pieces with it. And so I had been corresponding with, following blogs back in those days. And there was a lady on there who collected tiny toy. And I said, hey, I found some tiny toy. And she's like, well, will you get it for me? I'd like to purchase it. And so I purchased it and did some research. And I thought, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'm just going to keep this stuff. So I kept the tiny toy, and that kind of really started things. When I did research and started realizing what was all around me here in the Tulsa area. But I have a pretty great tiny toy collection, and that just branched out. I already had kind of the start of the cage collection from my great-grandmother's house, and then I would find other pieces, and I love to do the research. I started posting them on my blog, pieces I'd acquire and what the dimensions were, and just hoping that other people would maybe interact, and they did. And that was kind of the start of the collecting thing.
Yeah. So how many?
So now when I travel, I like to go into shops.
Yeah, I want to find out where and how you find your miniatures. But just, ballpark, how many different brands of miniatures do you collect and focus in on? Like 10 or 12?
I guess 12 is a good number.
Okay. And
I have pretty great collections of, like I said, the cage, arcade cast iron, the plastic stuff, Renoir from the 40s, 50s, 60s. I have Sonia Messer from the 50s.
Yeah.
Tiny toy, like I got at the antique store.
Yeah.
And that's from the 20s, 30s. I started collecting the Goebel miniatures.
Oh, Goebel.
That's from the 1980s. That's kind of detailed plastic stuff, but it's pretty cool. I started collecting the Petite Princess
Yep.
items from the 1960s.
Yeah.
And then I have Tootsie Toy, the little die-cast metal stuff from the 20s and 30s. I have a pretty great collection of that.
Would you say you've hit every decade?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And what draws you to a specific brand? Because you're not getting every one of them, right? You can't. I mean, you can.
Right, right.
What's drawing you in? Because I'm seeing the vintagey type, right? Like the tiny toys, but you're also collecting Sonia Messner. I never know how to say her name.
Messer, Messer,
which I think is a bridge to what I would call the fine scale miniatures that you might see today. So you're hitting everything, but and even the Gobles to some extent, they're more finely detailed proportion wise and scale. So what's drawing you to a specific? Because it's a very broad your interests.
Yeah, I think part of what really draws me to that is the history behind it. I love to find a piece and then study it and explore it, figure out where it might go in a collection, figure out what generation it was from, and then it just kind of really excites me to think, this might have been somebody's favorite toy 100 years ago, or it just, I don't know, I just love that part of the history behind it.
Yeah.
No. But I love the collection, I guess, kind of the thrill of the hunt and finding something, and it's so much easier now with like the Google image search. Back in the day, I was going through books and trying to find pieces and interacting with connections that I've made online, sending pictures back and forth. Do you know what this piece is or what collection this might be from? Which I still do a fair amount of that, but I just enjoy the history side of it as well.
Yeah, so that was another question. So where do you find your miniatures?
So a lot of them I find online. There's also more recently a lot of Facebook groups that focus on different genres of miniatures, different dollhouse brands, different, whether it's the plastic stuff or the antique stuff. And then, like I said, I still love to go to estate sales. I like to go to antique shops and garage sales, but
yeah,
sometimes on Facebook Marketplace, I'll get lucky and find something that's nice.
Yeah.
But a little bit everywhere.
So I want people to see, how you get into your creative space.
Okay.
And talk about your creative space.
Yeah. So this was my COVID project while I was working at home. I also built this movable bookcase back into this space. And this is where I store a lot of the houses in my collections. It was, there's so much going on here, I guess.
It
but
really
these are
is.
metal houses from the 1950s. I have some fiberboard houses from the 1940s there. This is also we just passed. Well, so this is fiberboard cast iron pieces. I've collected those as well.
So this is what obviously the top floor of your house, and that's the attic, but that's only one part of it, that this hidden space.
Correct. Yeah.
We're gonna take folks through the entire space in a moment.
Yeah. So when we purchased the house, the space above the garage was unfinished. And so that's my main studio. And I was kind of outgrowing that. So then I decided to push into the attic here, and I created this space.
It's awesome. It is so awesome. All right, let's go through. We have a longer walkthrough. No, that's not it. Hold on. Creative space. Let's do. Is this the longer walkthrough? Hold on. No, that's
longer. The longer walkthrough starts with the.
Oh, it does start with the hidden.
No, it starts with the out in our family room movie area that's green.
Hold on, we're gonna bring it up.
Okay.
And it's not. Why is it not showing it? It's not this one. This is it. Yeah. All right. So this is the longer walkthrough of the entire space. Still in the special. Yeah, this is it.
Okay, so these pieces in this box are kind of just really old stuff from the 1800s, and then some
Oh.
Carl Forsland pieces that I've happened upon. I do have at the top there, that plastic one's kind of new. It's a imagination house that's from the 1960s that I found at an estate sale.
So when you purchase, do you purchase sometimes completely filled?
I haven't.
Oh, really? So this is
I don't think I ever have. So
all your stuff.
I'll just buy a house and then I'll find stuff to put in it. Yeah. Actually, that imagination house, the people at the estate sale didn't even know what it was. They thought it was like a hamster cage something, because it was just all pieces in plastic. But I do go through my books once in a while. That's my miniature Coca-Cola stuff. But I was going through books and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Because I can't collect everything, but I kind of try to keep in my mind what's out there and what pieces are.
Yeah.
This is the Strombecker half-inch scale. They did some different things.
Oh.
I belong to the Tulsa Miniature Club, and we did this project, a little backstage dressing room, a few years ago. And then it's actually Fisher Price, but I have Tommy furniture in it, the plastic one.
Yeah.
This is an old Strombecker furniture house. The house is actually from the 30s, but the old painted Strombecker stuff is from the 30s as well, and it's half-inch scale.
Would you say that these sort of this style, the tin houses, and are these lithos? Is that what you call
tin litho?
It's tin and litho? Because I thought the litho was on board, or is it both?
It's both. Yeah,
both.
This one is on board, the Colonial Mansion here.
Would you say this is sort of the start of, doll housing being sort of more commercial than ever before?
Yeah, the fiberboard ones were for sure. And then we kind of switched over to the metal stuff. In that top fiberboard, this is my Strombecker 1-inch scale walnut pieces. I have a pretty great collection of that stuff.
That's crazy. Just the amount.
And then I also have 1-inch Strombecker painted stuff, and that's what I keep in this house. And then this bottom house is just kind of a mix. But
do you feel like you have everything, or is there's still stuff you don't have? And do you know what you don't have?
Oh, I know what I don't have. Yeah. This Lumbee house was new last year. Lumbee's a whole separate category. This is a 1966 suitcase house for Petite Princess. And I'm still working on Petite Princess. I need more of the bathroom stuff and the TV cart. This is probably my oldest house, the Dunham Coconut House. That's from the 1800s.
Wait, can we I want to go back. That house?
No, the one next to it on the left, the tall red wooden crate. One. So yeah, they would.
That's from the 1800s.
Oh. Yeah, I think 1890s. I'm trying to remember, but they would. 1890s. They would send coconuts to the grocery store in these pre-made. Yes. They was printed also doll houses, and so after they sold out the coconuts, they could sell the dollhouse or give it away or whatever.
Yes.
But those are kind of fun.
Is that the oldest piece you have?
Oldest house, yes.
Oldest house.
Well, no, I'm sorry, it's not. I thought that it was, but I have one that I just posted a few days on Instagram that's from the 1860s.
1860s.
Yeah. That's right outside next to the bookshelves.
So that had to have been handmade. There was no commercial back then.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is probably the more modern commercial house that I have with my Willits Take a Seat resin pieces.
Yeah.
There's my copper shop. That was a Tulsa Miniature Club project. We each did a little shop, and I chose copper. So this is my cage collection.
What is that?
That's really grown since the pieces that I had at my grandmother's house. That's some art cast iron.
Cage is this cage right here or the next one?
Yep, the lower stuff. Yep, down below that.
Because that's a new name for me. Kage.
Correct. Yep.
So what are some of the attributes? What's the time on this? The
cages from the 20s and 30s, 30s into 40s more. And then I guess the plant burned down and they didn't ever recover from that.
Wow.
But they had upholstered pieces and stained pieces. It's kind of chunky and it's not real detailed, but it's kind of fun. It just kind of means more to me since I had it as a child at my grandmother's house. But
yeah, it was in that box.
Yep.
Interesting. Maybe I'm familiar with the chairs. The chairs are probably the most recognizable, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of those still around.
Yeah. Interesting.
There's some really rarer pieces. You can't really see it, but next to the camera there's a bookcase that's more like a desk that took a while to find. And then the grandfather clock, I spent years and years trying to find, which I eventually did. I don't know if I can show that later, but it has lithograph paper on it.
Wow.
This was a Tulsa Miniature Club project. We each did one of these cabins, and I kind of wanted to go shabby chic modern on that one, but a lot of people went full country. This is a 1-inch 1:12 scale tin litho that has some pretty great stuff in it too, as far as plastic furniture goes. This house I have not been able to identify. I know it's from the 20s. It's electrified, but it's not connected. And I just keep 1-inch Strombecker stuff in there.
Yeah.
When I originally bought it, the guy said he used to keep his tiny toy collection in there.
Yeah. Those look all handmade, right?
No, it's Strombecker. It's from the 30s, 40s, but it was mass produced.
So mass produced. What I don't see Shackman. Do you have any Shackman? Are you interested?
I do have Shackman, but I don't really have a place for it. I kind of have that stored away in the closet in boxes. I have mixed feelings with Shackman. I mean, I know it was mass produced and a big product, but it doesn't really have the look that I like.
Interesting.
For the most part.
Right. Yeah. All right.
So this is where I store my tiny toy furniture. I bought this house at an auction in Texas online, drove down and picked it up, but it's also from the 1920s. It still has the knob and tube wiring, which I'm still going back and forth on whether I want to fix it or replace it.
Yeah.
But I have all the tiny toy. I don't have all the tiny toy, but a lot of the tiny toy pieces, all the nursery pieces and bedroom, dining room.
That's a lovely house.
And Tiny Toy, thank you. Tiny Toy did not produce kitchen pieces. Well, they had like a cupboard and table, but they just kind of went hand in hand with the arcade cast iron for the bathrooms and kitchens. So that's what kind of got me started collecting that stuff. It's from the same period, but
yeah. Wow. That's quite a collection. We saw two. Was that the little room? Where were you now?
That was all in the room. That's all in the room behind the bookcase. Yeah.
And now are you in front of the bookcase or are you in a different part of the house or everything is on one floor?
No, I'm up in the studio in front of the bookcase. The bookcase is just right back here and goes back into the attic. Yeah.
That is just such a charming, lovely thing to have. Just to have that. So do you have enough space to continue collecting or you have not outgrown your space?
I don't know. I have a little more space. I can make room for things if I need to, but I probably need to just focus on what I have for a while.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
So you're also a maker and you mentioned also you're very active in your club. You've been with the club for like 20 years, which I think is awesome, but you're also a maker. So talk a little bit about the things that you like to make. I mean, obviously there's the assembling and putting things together, but you make stuff too. Talk a little bit about that.
I do. Mainly I like to make houses or the room boxes or places to display miniatures. If there's not a piece of furniture or something that I can find, sometimes I'll try to make it. I love to repair furniture. I like to buy broken dollhouse furniture and bring it back to life. In fact, I have a box of Tiny Toy that I just purchased that is kind of in shambles, and I'm excited to restore that. But I'll also start to collect things. So yeah, this is the large radio house that's behind me, where I show my arcade cast iron furniture. I didn't really have a place to put it, so I had purchased this radio cabinet because it was really cool, and I have made that into a house to display the cast iron collection. But I made the light fixtures for this. I liked going through and picking out, selecting wallpaper and flooring and furniture. I made the stained glass window behind it there that used to be the speaker in the radio where the fabric was.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is awesome. Yeah, so that's quite a creative endeavor right there. So it just ties back to, you know, all of the like an Uber miniaturist. You have all of these different tentacles working together. How has your collection and your interest in collecting evolved, if it even has? Because this is a lifetime, and what does that mean? Like, you know, what does that mean in terms of your own evolution? I mean, there's always things you want, right? But like,
right,
talk about the evolution of that you might be experiencing as a collector.
Well, initially, I just thought anything miniature was pretty cool, even if it was the Shackman or things that weren't very detailed or whatever. I enjoyed that. But as I've grown as a collector and done more research and started looking at things, now I look more for name brands. Sometimes if they're valuable pieces, I'll want to know if they still have the box, if they still have the label.
Yeah,
I look for things like that as on the more collectible pieces.
Yeah.
You know, if it's in good condition or if I can repair it and make it in good condition, I enjoy that. But
Yeah.
I think I don't know how to describe that, but I've just,
Well,
my
I think
taste
you become a smarter collector based on what it is you want. I mean, we'll all have a limited amount of time in our lives. So you're going to spend the time on things that you're interested in, but sometimes it takes a lifetime to figure out what you're interested in.
It does.
And we have to be smarter about how we're spending our time, looking for the ones with the boxes, looking for the brands that are going to appeal to you, and what's not, part of the journey is figuring out what you don't like too.
Yes.
And all of that takes time. So interesting how you've evolved.
Yeah. And I really enjoy more so now kind of artisan pieces or pieces that are handmade, that are detailed, and just wondering what went through this person's mind, or what were they envisioning the piece to look like. And then they create something from nothing that kind of is like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that ties into your historian brain. It's like you see that piece, you're not only seeing that piece as, what it is, but you're diving into, well, who made that? And what was he thinking at that time? And what was the period? And so that that expands all of your interests in a great way.
For sure.
So you did mention that there are pieces you're still looking for, but what I think is amazing is what you're looking for, which is great. So what's next for you in terms of your evolution? I mean, is there a book in there somewhere? I mean, you have all this information and knowledge, and you have your blog. I mean, and you have your Instagram account, which we're going to pop in there. Very important for folks to follow you, and see all of these different tentacles that we're talking about, because you're really good at showcasing what you're working on, what you just collected, and teaching. So what might be next for you?
Well, right now I don't know if you can see over this shoulder here, but this was a Victoria's farmhouse, the middle section of it. And I have, when I purchased it at a garage sale, it was this horrible pink color, pink and outside, blue on the inside. So I have been converting that into like a showpiece house for my Sonia Messer collection. I've added on the octagon 3-story structure on one side and an octagon kitchen on the other side. And I'm pretty far on the interior. I'm slowly getting the exterior done, getting rid of the pink and making it more of kind of a Victorian turn of the century shingle style house.
Wow.
I used egg crates for the stone down below, and just shingles and paint and stuff on the outside to bring
Yeah.
to life. I fully wired that with LED lights. That was my first step into LED lighting, which I really enjoy. And then I still have my Beacon Hill project where I have all my Victorian stuff from the 1980s that'll probably be my next venture. I think I actually may have said that last time you interviewed me.
I bet.
I swayed the path, but I'm getting back on. But
And you're allowed. That's what it's about. It's about what brings you joy at the time that it's, that you're doing it. And don't do it if it's not bringing you joy, is what I have to say.
yeah.
So, I mean, talk a little bit about why it's so important that we talk about this history, that we have these historic pieces in our minds and in our worlds. I know why it's important to you. Why would it be important to others?
Well, even just being a chunk of history and understanding relationships really gets me excited. For example, I was just rereading this week about Tootsie Toy, the small metal die cast stuff from the 1920s, and how the company was making all these toys for boys, and then but the owner of the company had a daughter, and he's like, we need to start making toys for girls, expand our market. And he named that portion of he called her Toots, and he named that portion of the line Tootsie. So it's Tootsie Toy. That's where it got its name. But
Right.
and then he, bring her in, and that's how they knew what they liked and what they wanted. Of course, all the stuff reflected what was going on at the time with the way the design of the radios and refrigerators and pianos and stuff like that. But
Right.
that whole thing, where it's history, but it's also a little bit about relationships, really excites me, understanding how just we've evolved as a society. I know a lot of the dollhouse growth is that way. A lot of these companies made toys for boys, and then they expanded to do toys for girls, and now it's for everyone, even adults.
Right. It says a lot about the sexism at the time. It was concentrating on boys, but look, we need, first let's get the boys and then the girls. So very interesting. And I think, the stories behind this is really, that's what miniatures are all about, period. That's what the world's all about. So I think, is having these stories be told and retold tells us a lot about ourselves. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So we will continue to follow you, Tulsa Tiny Stuff on Instagram, and also all of your other links are there. So if people need to find you on TikTok, and they can find your blog posts also through that through that link. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining today. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Darren.
We will be
great to
following
talk to you again,
because I think
it's fun to share
so much to this world. So we appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye, everybody at home. Thank you for joining.
All right.
Awesome.
See you later.